At about the same time, Guy, when the New York Times revealed one of the tenants in the World Trade Center buildings, and I don't know whether the craft qualifies as trade. It was the CIA office for spying on ambassadors to the UN and hiring them for the CIA. As a matter of fact, if you have a look at the tenants in that building, maybe you'll understand better what happened. I'm in no way justifying, just trying to explain. The first thing that Zapatero did, I just mentioned. The second thing, immediately to announce that he will have a dialogue with the King of Morocco. The moment Aznar's lie, the predecessor's sneaky lie, that this was ETA, the masks, had been revealed as exactly a lie. And it was Moroccans behind it. Zapatero did not do what would have been a possible US knee reflex. Bombing Rabat, the capital of Morocco. He went there, he didn't expel the ambassador. He didn't demand the ambassador the red carpet in the Prime Minister's office. He went there. Now, on that wall I would have liked to be a fly, but I have a hunch what it was about. It was about immigrant workers and Ceuta Melilla, the two enclaves. What was the outcome, I don't know, but I know what then came as a third point. He legalized close to 500,000 illegal Moroccan immigrants in his country. There was one thing they had to prove that they had a job. They legalized. Now, doing that, he took one point out of the conflict. And the fourth thing he did was, together with the Prime Minister of Turkey, Erdogan, to launch an alliance of civilizations under the auspices of the UN and Kofi Annan, and to declare the first meeting in Madrid, which was the 28th of October, and that was in 2005. I was a part of it. I was a little bit in doubt whether it was West or Islam. I preferred actually to be defined as Johan Galtung, and anyone can find out what that is. I found it fascinating. And I'll just say one thing. I had dialogue with Hezbollah and Hamas. I asked them, is there an Israel you can recognize? And they said, of course it is. It's not the present one. It's not the present one enacting the Zionist program written into Genesis 13. From the big river in Africa, the Nile, to Euphrates. It's not that one. And I asked him, is it 4th of June 1967 by chance? He said, well, Professor Galtung, something like that. A couple of points to be negotiated. And if you don't mind, I'm not going to present those points right now. I found it a totally reasonable statement. And I find the distortion of President Ahmadinejad, his speech, the totally wrong translation. He neither denied Holocaust nor wanted Israel into the sea or something of the kind. That has been circulating in the corporate Western press. I find it abominable. I have the translation from Persian, and it's very, very different. But let me leave that aside. You have the 4 points by Zapatero. Now, the interesting thing is, you don't operate with something called terrorism as a global formula. You decompose it. And if I may say so, I think there are 6 components in the 3 things. One has to do with integration of the people in the country. US, UK, Spain. US is actually quite unproblematic in that regard. UK and Spain, problematic. The second component of the conflict is that the West is at war with Islam. It's at war in Iraq and Afghanistan. I celebrate the general's repetition of the position by Gerhard Schröder, namely no to military participation. The no to the coalition of the willing, I would have wished the country whose passport I carry had done. So the withdrawal from that war. The third one is ongoing conflict between West and Arab countries. Mediation. Israel, Palestine, Iraq, Afghanistan. My position, and I'll not concede that there's a book outside where you can buy it. It's called 100 Peace and Conflict Perspectives. It's 200 kroner, that means 2 kroner per conflict. It's ridiculously expensive. If you know, it can be done. You can have a 6 countries Middle East community modeled on the community that welcomed former Nazi Germany into the European Union. You can have that community. It takes a lot of work. It is feasible. It's considerably more realistic, Mr. General, than what you are doing in Afghanistan. Now, there are special conflicts, West Arab countries. I mentioned Ceuta Melilla, enclaves. I think the brilliant solution to that one was the English-Chinese dialogue on Hong Kong. You know what the solution was? Hong Kong, China. The Chinese say that means Hong Kong is a part of China. The Hong Kong people say it's a mailing address. Now that's called an ambiguity. You can live with an ambiguity up to a certain point. So far they have lived very well with it. So I was pleading for the 54 as an example, Ceuta, Morocco, Melilla, Morocco. And then I added, with my little sort of sarcastic, ironic Mephisto twist, and Gibraltar, Spain. How about that? Professor Galtung, that's an entirely different issue. Well, at 2 o'clock in the bar, they were more similar to those issues. The fifth aspect is colonialism with its particularly traumatic events. You have it on the list that I presented for you. You have examples of exactly that. There you go. Zapatero should have taken up the 1925 bombing of civilians, women and children in Morocco, in the holy town. But I noticed with enormous pleasure, and I don't attribute anything to myself, but I've only said it about 1,000 times in Italy. 2011 is the centenary of your bombing, the first state terrorist